I have puts assigned on SOFI above where it's currently trading at, and that means that I own shares at a higher cost that the market says that they're worth today. And I want to walk you through exactly how I'm thinking about that, because the instinctive reaction that most people have was not the reaction that I'm going to have. SOFI is one of the most, divisive stocks in the market right now. Short sellers are attacking it publicly. A legendary investor is warning about it on TV. The stock has been literally cut nearly in half from its all-time highs, and yet the CEO is buying shares with his own money. Look, the company also just announced over $3.6 billion in new business commitments, and when you actually read the fundamentals, the story, in my opinion, is a lot more complicated than the headlines really suggest. So let's go through all of that in today's video. SOFI, at the time of recording this, is trading around 1587 as of, when I'm recording this. 12 months ago, it was at a high of 3273. It's also been as low as 860 in the same window. That range tells you everything about the kind of stock this is. High beta, high volatility, not for the faint-hearted, all right? And two events triggered the recent sell-off. First, Muddy Waters Research, one of the most well-known short-selling firms on Wall Street. They published a report accusing SOFI, of improper accounting and misrepresenting its loan portfolio. Listen, whether those allegations, are accurate, it's still unresolved, but when Muddy Waters publishes, institutions react, the stock's gonna move. That's just the reality. Second, Steve Eisman, the investor who famously shorted the housing market, before 2008, he publicly warned that SOFI's, securitization practices and private credit exposure could be a serious problem in a credit downturn. He used the phrase potentially a disaster. And that's the kind of language, from that particular person, it's going to get picked up absolutely everywhere. And both of these events hit a stock that was already under huge pressure from its highs. And the result is what we're literally seeing with SOFI now. And here's my honest framework, okay? I use SOFI for all my personal banking needs. I'm not saying that to be cute either, okay? I literally interact with the product every day, and I understand why someone in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s would choose it over a traditional bank. That firsthand knowledge, it matters to me, right? A short report doesn't override what I see with my own eyes. When I got assigned on my puts, when the stock, dropped strike prices and I was obligated to buy those shares, I didn't panic. That's the design of the strategy. You set a price, you're already comfortable owning a specific stock. Assignment isn't the failure, it's the trade working as intended. And the question I ask myself when I get assigned isn't how do I get out, right? It's has anything changed about the fundamental business? If the answer is no, I hold and sell covered calls on top of my position to collect some more premium while I wait if I can. And that's the wheel strategy in action. It requires doing the work on the business before the volatility arrives. So when it does, you're not making decisions completely based on fear. Now let's talk about what the numbers actually say. SOFI's most recent quarter, revenue came in over $1 billion, up nearly 40% from the same quarter last year. EPS 13 cents, which beat estimates. A year ago, that same quarter came in at 5 cents EPS. That's meaningful earnings growth. That's not deterioration. And for the full year 2026, management guided 60-cent EPS. The average analyst price target across all coverage sits around $26 against a current price near 16. Even the most conservative analyst on the street has a target of $19. That's not the picture of a company the market has, correctly priced. That's a stock under heavy short pressure while the underlying business continues to execute. Now let's talk about the loan platform business. This is the piece getting lost in all this noise. The day before, me recording this, SOFI announced a $3.6 billion in new platform commitment across 3 institutional partnerships, a global bank, a major insurance group, and a top 5 global asset manager. In 2025, this business unit secured over $10 billion in total commitments. And here's why the structure of this matters. SOFI isn't putting its own balance sheet behind these loans. It originates and services on behalf of the institutional partners and collects fees. That's the capital light reoccurring revenue, that kind of business model evolution that should command attention, not trigger a massive sell-off. Large institutional partners, they don't commit billions of dollars, to a counterparty they have serious accounting concerns about, okay? They just don't. So that's worth keeping, at least in my mind, as context for that Muddy Waters narrative, right? Let's talk about the bear case. Honestly, I'm not gonna skip the risks, guys. The counting allegations, they're unresolved. I can't verify or dismiss them. What I know is that unresolved accounting concerns at financial companies create prolonged uncertainty regardless of the outcome. If there's substance to them, there's more downside from here. SoFi's liquidity ratios are very thin. The quick ratio is 0.18 in a benign credit environment. That's manageable. In a genuine credit cycle though, it's a real vulnerability, and that's essentially what Eisman is warning about, okay? And the net insider activity over the last 90 days is worth noting. Insiders bought roughly 700,000 in shares while selling over 4.1 million. The CEO bought 500K worth at 1732. It's a genuine signal, but it doesn't erase the broader selling picture, that's for sure. Don't selectively read the data. Let's talk about the bull case. CEO, Anthony Noto buying shares at 1732 after a significant sell-off is not a PR move. That's personal capital on the line, right? The revenue growth rate is nearly 40% year over year. The loan platform business, it's expanding, its institutional footprint at scale. Analysts target average nearly $26 against the almost $16 stock price, and multiple institutional investors are increasing their positions in Q4. For option sellers like us, SoFi's beta of 2.2 and the current short pressure means IV, implied volatility, is elevated. Elevated IV means really rich premiums on covered calls and cash secured puts. And if you're assigned like me, the premium environment for selling calls against your position is a little bit more favorable now than when it was when the stock was at 25. You just have to make sure you're getting in at a good strike. So here's the bigger picture. The gap between the bull and the bear case on SoFi right now is genuinely wide, right? Not because the analysts' analysis is unclear, but because the outcome actually matters and hasn't even been resolved yet. A company growing revenue at 40% with 3.6 billion in new institutional commitments, trading at half its 52-week high with the CEO buying shares, that's not the same story as a company whose business is literally deteriorating. But unresolved accounting allegations, thin liquidity, and a high-profile short thesis from a very credible voice are also not nothing. Both things are true simultaneously. What you're weighing here is the fear. Is it priced at 1587? Does that current price reflect significant amount of bad outcomes that hasn't materialized? That's the honest question we have to ask ourselves. And it's worth sitting with rather than answering reactively, in my opinion. Here's where I'm standing. I'm holding my assigned shares. I haven't sold. I use the product. The earnings beat, the loan platform momentum, and the CEO's repurchase all support my personal decision to stay in the position. I'm going to start selling covered calls against my shares as well, not aggressively. I'm not trying to get out, I'm not trying to get called away at a loss. I'm selling at the strikes that represent at an exit I'd be comfortable with and collecting the premium in a good way that reduces my cost basis. What I'm not doing is adding to the position. I'm not adding into my position until accounting issues get resolved. I already have exposure. I don't need more uncertainty on top of it. If a restatement or regulatory action emerges, I'll reassess. Until then, elevated short interest and a public short report are not the same, as proven fraud. So that's the full picture on SoFi. The good, the bad, the unresolved. We got that strong revenue growth, right? New institutional, commitments, on one side, accounting allegations, thin liquidity, high profile short thesis on the other. This is not a simple call in either direction. Two big questions for the comments that I have for you. One, are you holding SoFi right now? And if so, are you running covered calls against it, or are you just holding and waiting to see what happens? Two, how are you thinking about the Muddy Waters report, right? Is it just noise or a legitimate concern? Drop it down below. This one is worth having a conversation about. And if you like this sort of content, hit that like button, that subscribe button. I like to put out content like this every single day. And if you want to take this one step further on your education with selling options, click the first link in the description of today's video. There's a 90-minute workshop there called the Ark Options Strategy. And at the end of it, I give you some incredible free bonuses just for staying with me. You get my trade log templates as well as my full trade log that details how I track all of my trades every single day. So click that first link in the description of today's video.